Headache.
So the COE is very high, right? But you're going around test driving. So what's your favorite so far?
I've only test driven the Volvo EX40, BYD Atto 3, Kia Niro.
Oh,
These
what?
three.
But I told you, right?
Sorry?
Can you? I told you don't get this hooked by the ventilated seats.
Kia has a very good philosophy where they said that these are the things they should not hide behind a paywall. So they'll give you ventilated seats
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah, but the other
yeah.
two does not have. So I'm going to look at the
Is that,
Polestar 4 next.
is that really important? Ventilated seats. I mean, given that you are
I have no
taking,
idea.
you are planning to switch to EV, right? You know that
Mm-hmm.
EV can start the engine or sort of start a car way ahead.
Yeah.
And that's really helping you to cool down the entire car. Why do you still need ventilator seat?
Oh, have you tried ventilated seats?
No, I have not.
Go and
I,
try first, right? Yeah, it's really good, especially in Singapore's hot weather, right? Yeah,
yeah,
the car can be cold, as you're driving down, sometimes the car starts to heat up.
well,
Then instead of
depends if
adjusting the
Subaru
air
is gonna
conditioning.
give me ventilator seats lah. So far, Subaru is not giving me. I
Yeah.
go for practicality, right? Since the early episodes I say about practicality, family oriented. I drive a dead car.
Yes. That car can also come with ventilated seats.
Oh, I agree. But you have not tried Tesla Model Y.
No?
When?
Soon?
That may change your mind.
Let's see.
All right, take it off, CK.
Okay, so welcome back to another episode of the Two Dads podcast where we talk about all things dad. I'm CK, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Aloysius.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. And I think today we are going to tackle some big questions that all parents face when raising kids in today's world, right, CK?
That's right. We're talking about everything from when you give your child a cell phone to how much screen time is appropriate, and even more controversial topics to follow.
Wow, that's going to be great discussion for this evening. And I think it's going to be a lively one. So why not?
Mhm.
Let's dive right in. I think let's start off with big one. I always like to start off with big one and phones. CK, when do you think kids should get their first phone? What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a very tough question to answer, right? Because back in the day where I don't know, when we first got our cell phone, when I first got my cell phone was 12? No, wait, primary six. How old were we? Yeah, 12,
That's
12 years
that's
old.
12 CK.
Yeah, okay, 12, 13 years old of age, right? And
Curious, what phone do you get?
it was a Nokia 3310.
Yeah, high five.
Right, yeah, we play Snake, we play Space Invaders on the
Yeah,
phone. Yeah,
SMS and
so
MMS, everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
and and the cell phones were simpler than
Yep.
calls, text, and even then the text 100 SMSs a month. That's it. Phone calls were like what half an hour, 30 minutes,
Yeah,
1 hour.
it's very bad
Yeah.
outgoing minutes.
Yes, and if you go over that limit, the cane will come after you, and from the parents, right? Right. So yeah, times were simpler back then. So there's not much to get, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, addicted to. I mean, it's cool, you show your friends, hey, I got a cell phone, and yeah, kind of like being the cool kid in school. But then
Yeah.
these days it's smartphones, right? You have the internet where there's so
Yeah.
much content on the internet, some good, some bad, right? Uh, you have games, you have
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, you have, I don't know,
Yep.
social media, right? That's the big one.
Yep. Big one.
So yeah, I think we kind of need to be more careful these days, especially when dealing with a cell phone. What do you think?
Wow. Um, I think that's a good point. I think I agree. Back in our days, it's much simpler. Age 12, 13, it really seems pretty reasonable. Uh, I still remember, you can't bring phones to school. If you bring,
Oh
you need
yeah.
to hide in the toilet during spot checks and whatnot. And
Yes, yes, in the ceiling, those removable towels. Yeah.
sometimes people hide in the undergarments.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the discipline masters and discipline mistress, I mean, they know what uh, kids are thinking and they know where to find these phones. Yeah. So I think, especially now today, when kids start to become more independent and um, as they go younger, I mean, they grow older at a younger age, and today's day, they probably need to contact parents for
Mm-hmm.
safety
Mm-hmm.
reasons. Um, But if you ask me back then, if I don't have phone, how do my parents contact me? Because bear in mind, my school is not where I stay in my primary school. I
Mm.
stay in the north, but it's about 20 minutes to 30 minutes bus ride away. So I
Yep.
stay in Ang Mo Kio, but I study in Yishun.
Mhm.
So the reason for that is because I shifted house and I don't want to move, change school because
Mm.
my friends are all there. So you talk about that, there's even more need for contacting me for my parents, right? For safety reasons, because I'm not studying near where I stay.
Yep.
Yeah, but it seems all right that we don't have phone at that point of time. And I still recall there was once I took a wrong bus home because I think I
Oh yeah.
was like 10 or 11 years old. I
Mm-hmm.
was so fatigued after a whole day in school. And back then, I think there's morning session and afternoon session, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I believe that it should be 11 years old. We are primary five. It's
Mm-hmm.
afternoon session, so we end school in the evening. So I was running across the overhead bridge and I saw the first bus was the bus number that I need to
Mm-hmm.
take to get me back home. So when I dashed down, naturally I would think that the first bus was the one that I saw when I was at the overhead bridge. But little did
Mm.
I know, while I was running, the first bus left and the second one actually inched forward, and that became the first bus. But for me, because I was so anxious chasing the bus, I didn't take a look. And I bought the bus. And when you went past Lance Hall, the Yishun part to Lance Hall,
Yes.
before it goes
Yes.
straight to Yio Chu Kang, it goes up to the expressway, right?
Yep.
That was when I knew that I took the wrong bus because the bus went out the expressway. Then I was like, oh my God. I was probably 10, 11. And that point of
Mm-hmm.
time, I almost burst out crying, but I held
Mm.
back. So the bus is 969, and 969,
Mm.
you take it
Yes.
all
Yes.
the way to Tampines. Yeah, so I think yeah, nowadays you see kids as young as
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, or even 9 getting
Yeah.
the phone. But I think it's important to set those boundaries and monitoring usage. Back in those days, having phone like what you shared earlier, right, doesn't have that much of a key challenge because it's simple. The only thing you can have most of the screen time is playing Snake,
Yep.
SMSing. That's it. You don't have access to information online. You cannot go to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Back then, the most common one that came out while we were in our secondary school was Friendster, but you can't even access it
Yeah.
on the phone. So I think
Yes.
there isn't much boundary and monitoring to be set right there. But
Mm.
in today's smartphone, there's a lot of parenting features. You can install a lot of
Mm-hmm.
monitoring features, setting certain boundaries that they cannot access certain contents, and I think that will be useful and helpful. But then again, I may not want to give my kids in future, where they grew up, a phone until they were at certain age that I deem appropriate. And for me, I think maybe I will still stick with 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see the need to get phone during your primary school days, but secondary school maybe, yes. But yeah, it's probably going to have a lot of restrictions. They can't go on socials.
Yeah. Well, I heard Apple Watch allows you to make phone calls as well.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah. So.
even today, I was looking at like a smartwatch for
Mm.
kids. There's this called
Mm.
My First Watch. It's something like an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, but it's meant for kids to use, as young
Yes.
as 5, 6. It gives you live tracking where they are. You know that they are in school, are they on their way back home. So
Mm,
acts as that safety reason that they probably don't need a phone
yes.
if I give them that watch. Yeah. And like what you say,
Yes.
yes, they can make a phone call through that. And that
Mm.
probably serves the purpose for us to reach out to our kids. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess it's the most important thing is why you are getting a phone for your kid, and
Mm.
for the reasons that you just shared, right? Is for in case of emergencies, they can contact you,
Yeah.
or if they get lost, you can contact them. And
Yeah.
if that is the sole purpose of giving them a phone, there are plenty of other options, and smartphones are not the only option, right?
Mm.
Uh, I just feel that, based on observation, some parents they give their kids smartphone as a means to keep them distracted.
Mm-hmm.
In public spaces, if they cry or if they make kick up a fuss, yeah, here's a phone, keep quiet, you know. So I'm not saying what is right and what is wrong. It's just that it could be a process that gets the kid. Oh, I want phone time. I'm just going to cry right now.
Yeah.
Then my parents will give me. It's just reinforcing that kind of culture. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to know exactly why the phone is there, and
Yep.
not just blindly give your child a phone.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about phone, I think screen time is another hot topic, right? On the phone, there's screen time. And with today's technology available, devices we have, back then, I don't think we have YouTube until during our probably
Secondary,
13,
yeah.
yes, days. So yeah, so I think we don't have a lot of screen time. The only screen time we have is channel 8, channel 5. And if you are probably more well to do in the younger days, right, you get cable TV. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
typically that's how we gauge people are from well to do family, right? You have cable TV. It's like, oh yeah, I'm watching free, over the air, channel 5, channel 8. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine because television, the one who controls the television is usually our parents, our dads. They hold the remote control, so you don't get to say what you watch, right? It's what
Yes,
they want to watch, and then
yes.
you just happen to be there. So I guess screen time, like all things, balance is
Mm-hmm.
super important, right? So completely cutting our kids off screen time, it's not good, because there are very good content on online YouTube for kids,
Okay.
uh, yeah, learning videos,
Mm-hmm.
documentaries, things that help them know more about the world. I think these are good videos to watch.
Yeah.
Of course, after they finish their chores, do their homework, sometimes it's okay to play a bit
Yeah.
of cartoons. I guess it's fine, right? But not too much. When they start to, like I said, kick up a fuss, throw a tantrum, they want to watch more. I
Mm-hmm.
guess that's where we need to step in and tell them, it's too much
Yeah.
already, right?
Yeah.
One day, you need to balance. You need time to rest. It's time to go to bed, or you have not done your homework. You should not be doing all this kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
balance, I think, is important. You have more experience in this field. What are your thoughts?
Um, I I think we start off not having a lot of screen time for the boys when they're young. Uh, Probably in the early phase, 1 year of age that time, we probably introduce a little bit. Then when he's probably about 2 years old, we gave him more screen time. So typically the screen time comes from two different devices. One is TV that is only usually on weekends. The second one is mobile phone. So mobile phone, the kind of screen time is very different. My son, he loved to watch all the photos that we took. So that's the only screen time. He typically
Mm,
don't look at other stuff. So he would like to um, look at past photos that he take, with the family, the trip that he went last year, or that indoor playground that he went 2 years back, 3 years back. So he like to look at those as screen time, and that's typically during nighttime before he goes to bed. So we just had one, earlier at 8:30. He was reading
mm,
his book, and we had screen time. And this screen time typically is 1 minute or
Mm.
at most 3 minutes. And nowadays he shifted into more curiosity because he likes machines, machineries, huge trucks, huge kind of vehicles. And we are reading this book called, the Monster Machines. And he loved machines. So out of curiosity, he want to take a look at, what is an Antonov? One of his favorite planes is the Antonov. He just wants to say, yeah, can I take a look at Antonov? Oh, sure. I just search up on YouTube, get a quick clip. This is Antonov. Then he was so excited. And then sometimes he'll look at this huge dump truck, the Blast 75710. I don't even know what's that until I start reading the book for him. And I learn with him along the way, these are the things that I don't know. Yeah, so those are the screen time. And TV, the number 1 and number 2 go to. So my kids, I think typically they don't go to Coco Melon, Paw Patrols, but sometimes I think he do get this kind of screen time from school, or maybe when he go Sunday school, there's some screen time. But most of the time at home, his go to is Blippi. Yeah, so I think all parents, some parents may like it, some parents may not like. But I think for us, we find that it is acceptable, Blippi, Blippi, for parents out there who wants to figure out. So I first got to know this from my ex-colleague that shared with me that her nephews and nieces are watching this. I was like, okay, why? Then I realized that it's something that excites him because there's all these things about excavator, trains, big machines, and a lot of indoor playground going into indoor playground to introduce certain playgrounds. And these are the things that excites them, and he do learn, some things over there. Yeah, so we are okay. We are fine with that. Sometimes me and my wife watch maybe with our 2 boys. Second one that sometimes he watches Handyman Hell, Handyman HAL. So this guy is something. It's a little bit like BP content. Same thing. Talk about garbage truck and whatnot, kind of thing. And he dressed like a handyman, so he fixes things, all this, and he teaches a lot of things online. So I think these 2 are the go-to contents for my kids, on YouTube. Yeah. They don't like to watch cartoons, so sometimes I think once I introduce them to Super Mario, there's a recent movie, Super Mario.
Yes.
Watch into the first 30 minutes and he say, I don't want to watch anymore. It's so scary. The thought is so scary. It's like, okay, let's go back to Blippi. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think,
that's great.
yeah, I think the education content is quite decent for what he has been watching.
So how do you kind of like because all these videos, they are on demand, right? It's on YouTube, on the streaming channels. So how do you limit their screen time? Like how 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day? Sometimes they want more.
Yeah, so because they do watch every day, right? I think on an average, they don't watch every weekend as well. Maybe if they watch it, it's usually on Saturday. Either Saturday or Sunday. It's very rare they will watch back to back 2 days. So if they watch one weekend for that, like this week, today is the first day they're watching. So they had their afternoon nap from 2 all the way to 4:30. They woke up earlier and they were playing some toys, and I brought dinner back home. So they start watching at 5:30. We ended at close to 7:15. So that's close to 2 hours. Yeah, but in between they don't sit down and watch throughout because they were having their dinner and whatnot. So I think it's about 1.5 hours maybe. Yeah, and we set that kind of expectation with them at the start. We tell them that when we say it's time to switch off, you need to do it. Of course, initial stage it was challenging because I think especially last year, my oldest child is 3 years old. He's yearning for more. He's like, can I have another one? Can I have another one? Can I have another one? And his another one is always another one, another one. It's never ending.
Yeah.
So he'll make a big fuss, he will cry. Yeah, but I think over the past 1 year, we sort of imprint that expectation to his to say that when we say it's done means you need to turn it off. And nowadays he will just say, okay, is this the last one? They will say yes. So when that whole episode ends, he will take the remote and switch it off himself. Yeah. So that's how we set the expectation that we do not go beyond certain number of screen time for them. Yeah.
So all this I assume is YouTube Kids. Is it YouTube Kids or?
Yeah, it's YouTube Kids. If you restrict to YouTube Kids, Blippi is still available. Netflix has Blippi as well. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So on this topic, I have one question, which is
Ah,
what about using cell phones to watch videos during meal times?
uh, so in the past, I think that there was cases we use that. So I think today I read this book, right? It talk about,
Mm,
use the method that works for you at that point of time. And sometimes people say that, you shouldn't give screen time to the kids because they will always want to get that, right, because it become so automatically, you know that whenever it's mealtime, it's screen time. I mean, it's true to
yep.
a certain extent, but if it works for you for that period of time, you can consider doing that to ease off. I feel personally that's my take, my opinion, but doesn't mean it works for everyone, because some people may just open a can of worms and it may eventually be, a full time, hook onto the
Mm,
screen during mealtime. So we did it for
yep.
a couple of times for our firstborn. Our secondborn not so much. Firstborn, because I think at that time he was
Mm,
quite fast. He's not eating, and we just sat down and eat. So we give him the screen time. Yeah, but he knows that limit, and I think he's a good boy lah. Back then, if you have a good kid, right, then thank goodness lah. They will. So we gave him. But nowadays he don't have screen time during meals, except earlier on we
mm,
we have, because he specifically asked for it. I say, yeah, sure, but you got to finish your food. Yeah, but
mm, mm,
um, typically when there's no screen time, they will. So if you ask me, will it affect them in future because every time meal time equals to screen time? No, because it's only on Saturday. If you talk about tomorrow, he's gonna eat his dinner at dining table. Sometimes he eat at the
mm,
sofa,
mm,
but there will be no TV, and he will still eat his food. Yeah, so I
mm.
think it's really what works at a point of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the biggest controversy is like, every time you walk to the supermarket, food courts, hawker
Mm,
centers, you tend to see kids, they are all glued to their screen eating, and every member of the family is glued to their phone eating.
mm,
Sometimes it kind of makes you wonder, is this like a family social activity, or is it just a family individual gathering, that kind of
yeah.
thing.
After we spoke with Rob, a couple of weeks ago, right? I have been very intentional and very consciously reminding myself that I will use less of the phone so that I can be in the present. And
Mm,
it was challenging at first because there's always that tendency, right? I want to check my email. I want to
yes.
check it out. How was the latest, Instagram story that we post up? How is it doing? I want to check out because, like, take for example, on typical weekdays you're working 9 to 6, 8 to 5, depending on what time you end. You don't have time to really use your phone. I mean, if you have time to really use your phone on social, then I need to
Something is
question
wrong.
whether are you really working. Not saying that you cannot use. I mean,
Yep.
during your break time when you're going for a toilet break, you're going to buy a meal back during work, you still could use, to check some
Mhm.
things here and there. But most of the time, you are focusing on work.
Mm,
Then when you commute back, if you don't drive, you take a public transport. Typically, what you do, screen time. Yeah.
mm,
But
yep.
because I drive, you drive, we don't have a lot of screen time. And when we reach home, the first thing is helping to settle the kids. And I
Yeah.
believe same for you. You come back, first thing you want to settle your daughter being present at the moment, right? So there will be the tendency at first is really using the phone, just like what Rob shared earlier, right? That kind of releasing of that kind of whatever hormones to
Or,
get you happy,
or
that dopamine fix for that short period of time. Yeah. So I've learned recently to try. I'm still trying, not perfect yet. Yeah. But even on the train, sometimes my car break down at times, right? In the past, not now because I changed car and it's more reliable. Yeah. Yeah. I should not name what car I drove previously, but um, when I was on the train, I seldom have screen time. The only screen time I had was my Amazon Kindle. That's the screen time to
mm,
read ebooks. Yeah. And the only screen time is really at night for the last 1 hour before I go to bed. Yeah. So I think that probably sets something for the kids, right? When they see, and then they will not sort of yearn for that. Lah. Yeah.
Okay.
So for you, CK, because I think your daughter is growing day by day, how much screen time do you think will be appropriate for her when she reach a certain age? Or at what age will it be?
That's a tough question. So I was thinking about it. I mean, just now I gave a number, right? 12 years old,
Mm,
first phone. But before that, I'm really not sure. So I
hmm
was thinking hour a day maybe.
A day.
Depending.
So 7 days,
Yeah,
so 7 hours a week.
depends on what
you,
age
you
as
know, you
well.
know, you know when you go to your developmental checkups with the doctor, right? The
Yes, yes.
the doctor will always ask this question: How much screen time have you give your kids a day?
Yes. So the caveat
Yeah,
is depending on her age. So I realized that when you're younger, not so much, right? 20
yeah.
minutes screen time is actually a lot for, let's say, a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. And then as you progress, of course, you can increase a bit more, right? So, no, but what I'm sharing is how much
hmm
I'm willing to accept, right? Or
Okay.
how much am I
How much
willing
are you
to
willing to accept? Maybe at let's say 10 months, 10 months old. That's gonna
10
be real
months?
quick.
10 months?
Yeah,
No. 10 months,
12.
that's 1 year old. No.
18.
I think I will only start to introduce screen time. Yeah, maybe 18 or 2 years old.
18 or 2.
Before that, when the family is watching, she can be a part of it.
Okay.
As a family social activity, But for kids shows, developmental shows, I think books,
Mm.
writing, reading, learning are still the
So
best.
no
Toys,
Cocomelon for you.
no. I think it's too flashy. So the
Yes.
the the colors,
Yeah.
I prefer the old school cartoons where
What,
they were
Tom and
done in
Jerry?
the. Yeah, yes, yes. So although it's a bit mindless and brain dead, but the at least the colors and the flashiness is not so intense.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I just feel that it's more appropriate now. If
Mm.
I were to let them watch cartoons. But yeah, I have
Wow.
yet to figure out. Let me discuss it with my wife.
It's a co-parenting decision. It's not just CK
Yes,
says, right?
yeah,
No.
yeah,
Um.
and even if we say something, the situation may change, and we have to, like you said,
Yeah.
deal with it as the situation proves. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's pretty interesting. I learned that today because it says that for that moment, right, if it can fix the thing, use the method until it's no
mm,
longer uh, deemed appropriate, then you tweak and implement another method.
yep,
Yeah. So
yep,
so the worry of parenting is always thinking about the future, but not the present. Because like
mm,
for example, I'm not going to give you screen time because it's going to affect you in the future. But you're not talking about the current state. That what are you trying to help? And like sleeping, some people say, that, oh, sleep training is good because in the next time future, you can enjoy your couple time with your wife. Your kids can learn to sleep themselves. But at the present, the kid is still learning. Is still young, and I think I shared a lot of time with you. Sleep training is good, right? Of course, it's my
yep,
context, but like what you shared, right? At this moment, it's not possible for a daughter, and you're not implementing it, which I think is good because it's looking at the current context, whether is
yeah,
it appropriate for your daughter at that stage. Yeah,
yeah, totally agree.
I'm gonna jump into another very challenging topic. I think for you, especially you have a
Okay.
daughter. I'm gonna ask about.
No.
No, let's talk about dating. You have a
Ah,
daughter.
okay.
So because I have a son, right? I mean,
Hmm.
for fathers, maybe you're probably more lax on that part, but you have a daughter. So when do you think it's okay, for your daughter in future to start dating?
Ah, wow. Hopefully never. But no, I'm just kidding. uh,
I think you're gonna bore her when you
wow.
knock her down the aisle in future, right?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for a dad is having to give your daughter away to whoever they're going to get married to, right?
I'm not gonna
Because you
experience
you
this, so I don't know.
you never know. You never know.
No, no. I've served
Yeah,
the
but
nation well, 1-for-1 exchange already.
ah, but when for dads, right? When you
Mm.
have daughters, I think the protective instinct kicks in. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of like feel it's your life's goal
Yeah,
or
okay.
your to protect keep your daughter away from whatever harm the world is about to dish onto
Yeah.
her. So you feel that it's your responsibility as a father, right? And having to relinquish that responsibility is after having done it for, I don't know, 20 over 30 over years whenever she gets
Mm.
married, right? It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you don't feel that whoever she's getting together with is a good person. If the guy is good, the guy is great, he is taking care of her, protecting her, that's fine, right? But then what if it's not? Or what if you feel that they say love is blind, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my greatest worry. So of course it's okay for her to date, right? Otherwise the population would die out. If every dad stops their daughters from dating. But at what age is appropriate? That's the question. So back in our days, you start seeing people dating at what, 16, some even earlier, some even have kids once they finish
Oh,
secondary school. That's
I have
so
friends that
young.
started at 13.
Yeah, dating at 13. What? You're still a kid. So like, do you even understand what you're getting into? That's the thing about
Mm-hmm.
dating so young. And you have other priorities, right? Education,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're not even making a salary. You can't even support yourself, let alone supporting each other in a relationship, right? So you
Mm.
have so many other priorities to set in place first
Okay.
before you can start to think about someone else's well-being. I
Mm.
think anything before uh at least 16 years of age, so that's like sec 4, right? The
Yeah.
maturity level is not there. That doesn't mean it's okay to start dating after 16. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in terms of the level of maturity, you only
Mm.
start to develop 16, right?
But for for
That's where
for, for girls, it starts earlier, right?
you're talking about puberty. I'm talking about mental maturity.
The
So
same. I
yes,
mean,
yes. So but how much of the world have you experienced? That's what I'm saying, right?
yeah,
You have not,
yeah.
like, as after secondary school, you start to explore options like poly,
Mm-hmm.
JC. That's what is it called, tertiary education.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you start to see the world a bit more. You start to get hands on the working environments and stuff like this. Then okay,
Mm.
you can more or less feel what the world is like. Then yeah, I feel at that point in time you are starting out, you want to date, you want to find out more about the opposite sex. Yeah, I think that is an okay time. But before that, I think I will have my reservations.
So you think 16 is probably okay for you, lah?
I would still have reservations, like I said, right?
Yeah.
I know of friends who dated since I think, like you said, 13, and they're
14
married today,
today.
right?
Yes,
13,
yes.
14. Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
married today with I think a couple of kids. Maybe we're
Two.
talking about the
I
same
think
person.
two. Yeah, I think we're talking about the
Yeah,
same two.
I think we're
Yes, yeah.
talking about the same person. So not that it's not possible,
It's
but
rare, lah.
rare. It's really rare.
It's rare.
And yeah, I can't imagine what they had to go through, right? Parents,
Yeah.
what they thought, especially the more traditional ones.
Mm.
Uh, yes. What I'm worried about dating, or getting together with the opposite sex is what goes on between them. We will not know, right?
Mm.
hanky panky stuff and all this nonsense that they are not supposed to do before they are 18. We wouldn't know. That's my biggest worry, right? So which is why
What
if
nonsense thing we should not be doing before we are 18?
so anything of the intimate nature, like having sex and all this kind of thing.
I thought that was only restricted within marriage.
Yes, but you don't know, right? That's the thing. We don't know what they're gonna do. So that's my biggest worry. So
I think even at 16, it's probably still too early. Yeah, because if you think back, during our period when we were 16 years old, if you are really
we're still
dating
practically
someone,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
your focus is so short-sighted because you don't even know what you want to do for your career. You don't even know where you want to study in poly. You want to go where you want to go to in tertiary. You don't even know whether it's JC or even IT for some cases. And for my case, I was still thinking, which course should I take in IT back then? Because I think my prelims was not doing very well, and I was trying to plot out the whole entire possibility for tertiary education. And fortunately, I got into poly in the course that I want to. I can go to JC, but I chose not to. And that was so short sighted because that was that worry we are not looking beyond. Because if for someone who is really mature enough, right, that person would have already plot out, this is the university I want to go to, this is the course, the faculty that I want to go to. Or for some cases, after my O levels, I'm just going to do a simple tertiary and I'm going to do work because I know what I'm doing. But that's not the case because most of the time at age 16, we are only looking at that very, short-sighted kind of vision that's it. And then we'll start to chart out the next path. Okay, after this, in guys, maybe NS. For ladies, maybe university or maybe going out to work. It's not ready. So I think that expectation and maturity to really start dating is when they understands that dating is not just okay, let's go out, look see. I don't think we're suitable after 1 year. Let's call it off. I think that's not the intention, right? It's really with the intent that is to date with the intention that you want to marry this person.
Yes.
If you are not having the intention, you just want to date and find out about this person, then I think the person is still not ready to start dating because that should not be the case. And I think in today's society, today's world, you can see that a lot of people are just casually meeting people. And I think meeting people is okay because those are not dating. It's really getting to know before you enter the next stage of dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
guess it's the definition of dating, right? For us, the definition of dating is with the intention to marry. Some their definition is
more
to get to know
traditional.
someone. I guess we're the more traditional kind. So we never know how our kids will turn out. Whether they adopt the traditional mindset or they adopt the more modern mindset. So where I'm coming from is that if my daughter decides to date at a certain age, 16, for example, right? We have to be careful how we deal with it because straight away going in and saying no, I don't allow you to see these guys. I think that can have a detrimental effect.
Yes.
Right, because then you are forcefully cutting off a certain feeling of hers towards a person. And I have seen that play out. It's not very good. I can't share too many details there. But let's just say that if you try to forcefully get someone,
you can just say friend already. We always got that one friend. That one friend.
We always have that one friend, right? But yes, trying to forcefully get someone to adopt your opinion, it is never good, especially when it's your child, right? You may think a certain way, but she feels a certain way, right? She likes this guy. She really wants to know more about him, and then who are you to come in and say no, cannot, So it may make my daughter hate me, if you ask me, she likes someone, she wants to find out more about that person. I think 16 years of age is okay to get to know the opposite sex. I think that's fine, but I
Yeah.
think that is where I need to draw very clear boundaries. What she can, what she cannot do,
Mm.
and set some expectations for her that it's still too young for you. If you all
Yeah.
start talk about kissing, holding hands, and all this kind of thing, you need to know what it means, right? And if you're dating with the intention to marry at an older age, yeah, you are more than responsible enough to make all these
Yep.
decisions. But at the age of 16, do you know the consequences? What's going to happen? Is he taking advantage of you? Do you know, can you read these situations, right? So I think I'll make myself clear that we are here not to stop you from dating,
Mm.
but rather to protect you from the consequence of dating,
Mm.
and especially dating the wrong person. So yeah, which is why I think, like you said, I agree with you. 16 is still too early. But if it's to find out, I think at some point, whether it's a guy or a girl, at some point
Mm.
in time, they will start to get curious about the opposite sex, and they do
Yeah.
want to find out. I guess dating is the most common thing.
I agree with what you say. To validate their feelings, because it's not just telling them I don't care about how you feel about this guy.
Hmm.
And the same thing, right? In future, my kids, it's not about telling them I don't care how you feel about this guy. Say no means no, right? It's validating their feelings, their emotion, understanding, and then discuss with them about their feelings, and then go in depth into the topic of talking about relationships and dating. And at this stage, I still don't know how I'm going to handle that, because
I have no
it's
idea.
still a journey that I don't know, and I probably need more consultations with other dads who have really girls in their or boys in their teenage years, or even in their young adulthood life, their youths, and they're probably more appropriate to share what kind of experiences. But it's really to be ready to um, take on that kind of discussion with them on relationships and dating, and to be very open and transparent. I think in our era and our generation, you probably ask your parents about this relationship and dating. They'll ask you, "Why ask me this kind of thing? To ask me lah."
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
that's when people get curious. Then they'll go ahead, they'll go online, Google ask.com back then, or yahoo.com.
Yeah, and they want to find out and get
Yeah,
together with some guy to find out.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
still couple of years to go to reach that problem, but I think we need to plan ahead, right? We cannot be so short
Yes,
sighted.
I say 16, but even when she's 30 or so, I think my heart will pinch.
I can foresee, the day when you walk her down the aisle, right? You'll probably be the one on the floor, holding onto a heel, and she will keep dragging you down the entire aisle.
Ah, let's cross the bridge when we get to it. Okay, so since you asked me such a bomb of a question, let me ask you one. Right? How do
Okay.
you feel about kids getting tattoos? So, I mean, obviously, you have tattoos on you right now. Would you be okay with your kids getting tattoos?
That's really a tough question.
Hmm.
Ask me this question 5 years ago, right? I will straight up tell you no.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
Yeah, you lost the bet to say no.
yeah, so I think
It's just like,
in 5 years back, right, tattoo is probably not so well accepted in society, especially in Singapore, because
mhm.
I think tattoo is still something very conservative for most people, for most families, parents. They Tattoo is often very closely linked to gangsterism, you
Yeah,
being someone very probably crime related. So that's why they say I don't want you to have tattoos. And it's a straight cut no for a lot of parents, right? But I think
yeah,
we have
and especially
reached
if you go Japan,
era.
right? You go Japan, you cannot flaunt your
Yeah.
tattoos. You can't go to hot springs in Japan if you have a
Yeah, yeah.
tattoo.
I heard that. Yeah. So I don't know how I'm gonna survive when I go to Japan for my trip next time. But
Yeah,
it's and to really in future. I don't go hot springs, so I think it's fine. But we'll see. Yeah. So I think in today's context, right, tattoo become more of like a form of self-expression. a lot of people put tattoo that resonates with them. Of course, there are still people who put tattoo that they're probably going to regret five, not even five, some in 1 year later, right? Because they put their loved ones' names. Probably they're dating someone. They say, oh, "I'm gonna give my all to you. I'm gonna put this name here." Next moment, like, okay, we broke up. How cover up? Cover up tattoos. So they're gonna regret. So if you ask me, right, will I allow my kids? And how do I feel about it? I say that kids should not get tattooed until they reach of certain age of maturity and legal. Especially, you need to be legal in Singapore. I think the legal age is 18. But even if my kids are 18, they tell me one day, hey, Dad, I'm not going to get tattoo. I'm probably gonna just say no lah. Sit them down and ask them why. They probably gonna ask you, but Dad, you got tattoo also. But I gotta sit them down and talk to them. Because I think at 18 years old, you still don't know what you want. Like what I said earlier, right? You probably,
True.
for my
True.
two boys, they probably studying, or maybe if they go national service earlier, they still don't know what they want in life. So I don't think it's at the right stage. It's probably a bit like dating, right? You still don't know what you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I only get tattoo at the age of I can't recall how old, but my first tattoo was my 5 years wedding anniversary. I got it with my wife. It symbolizes our wedding, faith, hope, love. That's our theme. And I want to do something memorable to commemorate. So I reached that stage that I told myself, okay, 5 year anniversary, what should I do? That I don't know. Until one day I was like, okay, let's do something out of the norm. Let's go and get a tattoo with my wife. So my wife had one with me, same. To tell herself, to remind this is our marriage related. And all of my tattoo are relating to my life. It's not something, I do something, because there's something cool, I just want to get a tattoo. And I reached a stage that, when I got my first, my second, I was thinking, hey, that one cool, maybe I should get it. Then I asked myself, hey, but does it have any meaning of my life? So I don't want it. So if you ask me, you want to do a tattoo tour, I can do it with you. Like everything is related to my life. And I have my two sons' portrait, I have my wedding portrait here, everything. So it's very relatable. So until my kids can have that kind of thinking to say that I want to get tattoo, why? What's the reason? Is it because I want to look cool? I want to look fierce, Then I say that's the wrong reason to get it. Why are you getting, My intention to get it is not because I want to look fierce. I mean, people always say that I got this face that when I don't smile, I look like some people owe me $10 million, that kind. When I don't talk, people always think that, I don't know how am I thinking because I got that kind of poker face. So I don't get tattooed to look fierce, right? Because some people say naturally I don't get a face. Yeah, so that's not the intention. I don't get tattoos because I want to, set a reminder for myself. These are my journey, my family, so that one day I grow old, I still can, look back. Yeah, it walks with me throughout. Yeah, so I think if they can reach that stage, then I'll probably say, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go get it. I want them to discuss with me. Yeah. So I never discuss with my parents when I get my tattoo, right? Because I'm already 30, I think. Yeah. So when I got my first one, my mom's like, why?
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, it's a clear cut no, right?
Why?
No, why? Why? Yeah, I think tattoos, regardless of your age, if you were my daughter, I think it would be a straight up no for me. Doesn't matter what age. Of course, when she's older, when she's an adult, she decides to get one by herself. What can I do? I can't say no anymore, right? She's a full
So
grown adult
eventually,
already.
still yes lah. It's
No,
just that. Okay, so
it's
if
a no. It's a no when I can control her, and no when I cannot control her anymore.
so what age you can
So
control?
when she's an adult, when she is a fully legal adult. Okay, so
25. 25. That
I
means
don't know,
finish
20, 25.
university,
Yeah,
getting your
I
own
guess
salary,
like
living their own life.
yeah, but when she goes to uni already, you probably stop listening to the parents already.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case. But
what if one day she's gonna put a tattoo, daddy's girl here?
my heart will pinch a little, but I'll still be a no.
I love my dad.
So,
Dad for life.
no. So yeah, if you think about it, I mean, we are not in the States. We
Yeah.
are still working in an Asian culture. Everybody is still more conservative. Yeah, times are changing. Times are being more modernized every day. But first impressions, looks, they still matter, right? There is a reason why if you have a tattoo and you go for an interview, you still wear long sleeve to cover it up. Why do you need to cover it up, right? So it's because in the
Mm.
workspace there are still some people who don't take to
Yeah,
tattoos
yeah,
very
yeah.
well. And yeah, I don't want a situation for my child where she's finding her first job and she's having trouble because of a tattoo on her arm or a tattoo on her thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
They can always wear coveralls lah, in more
yeah, but
conservative
why?
work. Yeah. Yeah lah.
So yeah, like why do you need to go through the additional step to cover it up? If you're gonna get a tattoo and cover it up, then don't get it.
Yeah.
So
So that was my
yes,
first thought, right? That's why I got my first tattoo with somewhere that I can't really cover up, because most people get their first tattoo with someone cover here so that it's
yeah,
safe for work, safe for work in a sense.
yes, yes,
Yeah, but all my tattoo is all unsafe for work,
yeah,
right?
unsafe because you already got a job.
I'm a HR, by the way.
I mean, if you secure a job already, then yeah,
Yeah.
by all means.
So,
No, no, no,
so
no,
I think
not by all means.
yeah, I think I reached a stage that initially when I goes to church on Sunday, I still feel a bit afraid, like like scared. How will the churchgoers feel? How will they judge that kind of thing? So every time I wear sleeve, then my wife, hey, you wear sleeve for what? She asked, she tell me, you already got a sleeve. Why you still wear arm sleeve? I was like,
Yeah,
no lah, try to be a little bit more appropriate. But after 2 months, 3 months, I decided to take it off. And I think that if the church cannot accept me for who am I, right, means there's something wrong lah. Yeah. But I know that the church I go to is not like that. So I decided to, be myself. Yeah. And that's more comfortable after I be myself.
yeah. So I think both schools of thought. There's no right, there's no wrong. It just depends on what kind of parenting
Mm.
style and what kind of
Yeah, yeah.
values you uphold.
I'm gonna flip this a bit, right? If let's say you have a second child as a son,
Mm-hmm.
would the answer change, or is it still a no?
No, why would it change? Gender has nothing to do with it. I just don't. Yeah. In a way, it's kind of like. I mean, it's quite painful to get a tattoo, right?
No
So,
lah.
oh, sure.
No lah.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts to get a tattoo. So why put yourself through that?
It only hurts the pocket lah.
It hurts the pocket and your skin. Now that you mention it, it hurts twice. and it's not her pocket or my kid's pocket, it's my pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna clear up for me.
Wow. Okay. So I think now today's society is so open. I think a lot of parents start to accept it. I mean, to the point like what you say, right? Eventually, when they grow up and they start to make decisions for their own life, you're probably gonna just you're probably gonna still ask like my mom. My mom was asking, "Why you going to put tattoo? I don't like tattoo. Why you going to put tattoo?" Yeah lah. Same thing, I explained to her. I told her that I want to create memories. These are something important in my lives. Yeah, and eventually we may reach that stage. I feel that even though now we say no, eventually they get you probably like look at it. Why? Then after that, then you ask them, okay, what is it about? That kind of thing. Yeah. Get to understand a little bit more, rather than like what you say, right? Discard their feeling away and then end up they will hit you.
Yes. So now that you mentioned this, right? You are going at this, when you are, let's say, you're 25, 26, or maybe 30s already. So full-fledged adult, fully grown adult. You're able to reason, you're able to say, oh, the reason for a tattoo is so and so, right? You can stand behind it and really substantiate it. But for kids, before they are an adult who, fully matured adult, they would probably get tattoos for weird reasons. Oh, it looks cool. Or this one says my favorite phrase. This is my boyfriend's picture. That kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason why I'm so adamant on not getting a tattoo, so that you don't do something when you're young that you're going to regret in the future.
Will you
And
one day get a tattoo yourself?
no,
Curious.
no, heck no.
So that's what I told myself also, right?
Hmm.
Heck no. I don't know what happened to me. Yeah. So recently I met my friend. He also said, it's a surprise you would do a tattoo, because he said that you are the last person in my friend list that I would think that you would never get a tattoo, but end up you are one of the one, and then you get a full arm. Someone was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I say
Yeah, no.
it also surprised me now. Honestly, it surprised me myself. I also don't know why.
Yeah, that's why you never know when you're fully grown adult, you make decisions for your own life, right? You never know, and you
Yeah.
can't really say no. So
Okay.
but me, no.
To that podcast, 10 million subscribers. We're gonna.
I'll get a removable tattoo. The one that I can wash off in 1 week.
The National Day kind lah, the National Day.
Yes, yes,
Day.
yes. Yeah, I
One day
would not.
enjoy the glory of 10 million subscribers. After that, just wash it off with cleanser.
Yeah, I mean, we only get 10 million for 1 day. Then the next day is 10.1 million. 10 million never stays.
Why? You're gonna say yes, then after that we'll make it happen.
Think about it. If we hit 20 million, are you going to remove your tattoo and put 20?
No,
I can. Can
10
you?
million. But 10 million is because it's a journey of
Yeah.
it's like my kids grow up. I'm not gonna change their face, man. Yeah. Commemorate that moment. Flexibility. Then I tell them I'll ask the artist to draw something that they can modify, make it a tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Nah,
we don't commemorate at 20, like commemorate 100 million. Then at once you're at the back. Easier, ma.
100 million, huh?
I don't know. Maybe we'll reach that stage. Maybe we won't. Yeah. Then don't you put that to it?
Yeah. Yep. I said we'll cross the bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. All right. So and now it's time for our advice. CK, you have any advice today for our listeners?
Yeah, I guess in today's time and with everything going on, what we say in the podcast today is what we say today, what we say now, what we are feeling now. But it may change tomorrow.
I'm gonna let your daughter listen when she grow up next time.
Well, hopefully she hears the tattoo part and the dating one. So yeah,
don't need to listen.
What we say today may change tomorrow, may change 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
So I guess being open-minded and being flexible is the only way to go. I may say I'm comfortable with my daughter dating at 16 right now, but I don't know, maybe when she attends school at 16, her peers are not the desirable kind. Then no, maybe 18, right? Or maybe 20, 21. We never know. So everything we say right now is still like a ballpark. So yeah, keep an open mind, be flexible. I think we need to adapt to when as they grow, we need to adapt. And what works now may not work then, right?
Yeah.
So we really need to figure out the situation in that point in time, and like you said, fix the solution, be present, and implement a solution that can actually fix it on the spot, and instead of always thinking about the future, which is what we are practically what we are doing right now, right? Thinking about the future. So I think be open-minded and flexible.
Yeah, great advice. I think parenting is really definitely a long journey. I mean, even when your kids reach adulthood, right? Parenting never ends because you're still parenting. At the same time, you're going to do a second layer, grandparenting in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being adaptable is really key, like what you say. Wow.
Yeah. And the key to being a good grandparent is to be a good parent, right? Otherwise, your kid will not let you grandparent their kids.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, that's yeah. Oof. Wow. That's all for today's episode. We hope you enjoy our discussion on this modern parenting dilemmas. Stay tuned and listen more.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube. Follow us on Instagram for more updates and to share your own parenting stories with us. Thank you.
Bam.